a delightful introduction to introduce our guest today. Music from the Hush Collection, Volume 13, The Magic Island. My guest, Dr. Cathy Crock. Hello, Cathy.
Good morning, Loretta.
Welcome back to Golden Days Radio. A couple of years since we've had a chat, and I think it's timely.
It's very nice to be back, thank you.
I'll just introduce you formally. Dr. Cathy Crock is based at the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne and is the physician in charge of the general anaesthesia list for painful procedures in children with cancer. And the Hush Collection is a product of this procedure and her work at the hospital. Cathy, how many years since this Hush Collection really came into being? From Volume 1, can you go back that far? I noticed, I really want to say this time, it's a baker's dozen, Volume 13.
It is. We're very happy with it. And Hush really started back in about 2003. So we've been quite some time evolving the project and really developing this music that now has gone into children's hospitals around the country.
And raised quite a lot of money from the sale of these CDs through about 12 hospitals, is it, around Australia?
Yes, it has.
Been the beneficiaries of this?
Yes, so the hospitals benefit by firstly getting the music, so being able to use the music in any way that they see fit in their hospital, in operating theatres or waiting rooms or treatment rooms. They may give it to families to take home if they need it. And they also benefit from the funds that we raise that they can then use, particularly for pain management or music therapy.
I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about the creation of the Hush and the artists that you've been able to attract throughout this series and how you go about that. But firstly, music as therapy. This is really something. It's not new, is it? It's something that can perhaps be go back in history.
It goes way back in history. Really, it's the roots of healing come from music, and I think people have known that for such a long time. That the difference it can make to your emotions and then how you recover from illnesses. Music, I think, is integral to that.
I can honestly say it's the most charming and most beautiful leisurely pursuit is to, well, the Magic Island is an example of that. I must tell you that I've played it several times since it came my way, and it is soothing, beautiful, and I might even say romantic.
Yes, and also really optimistic and hopeful.
Yes.
I think the musicians, you were asking about how we involve the composers, they all come into the children's hospital, and so they really experience the environment and they get to talk to families and they talk to staff about what this intense sort of environment really is like and how their music might be able to have a positive impact in that environment. So it's quite a rigorous and challenging process for them to come into our healthcare environment and then have to respond to the brief and make sure that their music is going to help rather than maybe make the environment more busy and chaotic than it already is.
This would flow through to the staff as well, I should think, in the hospital, in that environment.
Yes, you're right, Loretta. It's actually not where we thought we were going at the beginning of the project. We had the children and then the families firmly in mind, that they were the ones needing relief and calm. But actually the staff have responded to it as well. And when you think about it, that makes sense because we're working under a lot of pressure, time constraints, financial constraints. You know, being told to do more with less the whole time and still trying to do the best possible job, and to have this music for us has been just amazing.
Do you take this music through into theatre as well when the procedure is actually taking place?
Yes. So the children that I'm looking after need bone marrow tests or lumbar punctures for their cancer treatment, and they come to the operating theatre every week initially and then every month over 2 or 3 years. And they walk into the operating theatre with their parents, so the music is actually playing as they come through the doors. And so the feel when they come into the room is so different to if we just had all the noise of the machines and the beeping and the trolleys and all of that.
Music for complete calm is really the theme, and it certainly does flow through. I must mention that you're a recipient and fellow of the Winston Churchill Memorial Trust, the Australian Fellowship, and that indeed celebrates 50 years this year, Cathy. Created on the 1st of February 1964. And in 2010, you travelled to the United States and the United Kingdom on that Churchill Fellowship to examine patient and family-centred care and patient safety. What followed through from that when you returned? That's nearly 4 years ago now.
Well, it's been an amazing boost, really, to my career and has really been a great help. What I looked at overseas was the way patients and families are being involved in their own care and what they feel about their experiences, particularly in hospitals, and how music and the arts can help to make the experience much easier for families. And once I came home, I started working with Alan Hopgood, who's a renowned Australian playwright and actor, and talked to Alan about being able to bring some performance arts into the hospital as well.
Alan is a friend of Golden Days Radio. We've had him into our studios to interview during the Seniors Festival. His plays of year after year have been well received, and we've spoken about that, so I can imagine him fitting into that very well indeed.
Alan has
it
written...
does work, doesn't it?
Yes, Alan's written this amazing play for us called Hear Me, and it's written about patient and family stories and staff stories of their experiences. And we've now taken that play into 40 different hospitals around Victoria and around the country.
That's a wonderful progression of what you've set out to achieve in the first place. I'd like to just touch on the variety and difference of the CDs throughout from Volume 1. The Trinity College Choir that was recorded in Sacré-Cœur Chapel is an absolutely beautiful CD. I think that was Volume 5. I particularly love that. We've played all of them here at Golden Days, and I use that at Christmas. And Christmas has been a special time for me with the Hush collection. Last year, not this last Christmas, the 2012 Christmas, I was delighted to put to air The Wind in the Willows, a wonderful, wonderful story that we grew up with and delighted.
Yes, that's a beautiful CD, and I think one of the hopes of Hush is that might have the older generation bringing the book back out for their grandchildren, so that we can reinvigorate the story to the next generation.
It does. It is played in the Botanic Gardens each year, I think, in the summer, around about this time when they have the summer festival, Wind in the Willows. So you're well and truly in there. We must bring it to life again here at Golden Days Radio. But I'll come back now where we began with the Magic Island and the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra conducted by Benjamin Northey. A delightful collection of music. How did this come about? How did you draw in the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra?
Well, this was really an idea that came from Benjamin Northey, who is co-artistic director for Hush, along with Paul Grabowski. And Ben put the idea to us 3 or 4 years ago now. And at first we thought this is just too big an undertaking for a small volunteer group like Hush. But we've brought some really amazing people into the project, and with Paul Grabowski's help and Ben's help, we were able to get 12 incredible composers all to come into the hospital, work with us and be inspired by the whole experience. And then each one of them has written an extraordinary piece.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. We began with the theme, The Magic Island by Paul Stanhope. And when we say goodbye to each other on this occasion, we're going to hear Nigel Westlake's Diving with George. And it's dreamy. And the pianoforte in this is just beautiful in this recording.
And that's played by Carolyn Almonte,
I'm
who
glad
is
you mentioned that.
A very good friend of Hush and an extraordinary pianist.
Well, you go back over the years with some wonderful people, Joe Chindamo and Paul Grabowski and others that have made such a continuing contribution to this collection.
Yes, Slava and Leonard Gregorian,
Yes.
Andrea Keller.
Yes.
Really, the list is quite extraordinary.
Yes, have the pleasure of attending the recital with the Gregorians when that particular CD came out, and it was wonderful. This is certainly a collection worth having. Tell us how we can get our hands on it.
Well, it's readily available. It's in the ABC shops and in readings. You can look on our website at hush.org.au. It's at JB Hi-Fi, and you can buy it online as well.
Dr. Cathy Crock. Cathy, thank you so much for being our guest again today. Please come back.
Thank you,
Volume
Loretta.
14.
Yes, we'll be back. Thank you.